Well, hi for those who are listening. This is the Angryanimefan, the Despair Reviewer, and this is just me giving a little quick summary on, well, perhaps not quick summary, but giving a little summaries and a little talk and a little bit more about the Black Clover of 2018. As you all know or probably don't know, Black Clover has been on a roll this year. Of all the mangas, except maybe one this year, I feel like Black Clover has been the one who has been closest to the most enjoyable of the year. So this video, which unfortunately will not have a very good title. I mean, in the other titles I usually says or, but here I just says balance of hope and despair. And I'll tell you what I mean by that in this video. So in this video, I will just talk a little bit about it, why I feel like Black Clover really has been good this year 2018, and well, maybe something more. In case if you're not familiar with it, let's just quick summarize it. Black Clover was accused for a very long time, and actually still is, of being an enormous amount of copy to almost all the standard shonens out there. And I mean, it wasn't so difficult to see why. But because, well, the main character wasn't a loud, obnoxious, short main character. However, unlike other short main characters, this guy actually did have a male voice. Thank God for that. Although technically, people did not really like his anime voice, and I can agree. It took a little while for me to get used to that anime voice. Yet at the same time, I think that actor got a passable grade because, well, this character of Asta, the main character, is supposed to be loud and a little obnoxious. So giving him that voice actually was pretty fitting. I think the only real reason why people complained, at least why I complained the most, was because screaming is nothing different in mangas, anime, or anything else. In fact, screaming is what makes anime one of the most enjoyable things to watch. However, this actor, Gakue or whatever, he had you could almost see that he wasn't used to screaming, or maybe he was used to screaming. It's just that he added a norm effect that caused a lot of people to not really like screaming. Well, normally when people scream, they used to say that turn down your volumes a little bit. Normally when people scream, they maybe talk like this: I will crush you where you stand! Maybe. But a lot of people thought that he screamed like, I will crush you where you stand! Or something like that. And I think that's why a lot of people was turned off by that. However, I got a little bit off topic. And together with his Asta's best friend as well as rival, Juno, who is his polar opposite in every sort of the way. Juno is actually created to be not only a shonen rival, but also to be a little bit of a different mirror than Asta, because Juno is taller, he's handsome, he has been blessed with mana, he is quiet, and he has black hair. While Asta is short, obnoxious, has a very cannot shut up for the life of him, has no mana, and what else is there? Well, people are drawn to him. However, I still think that that relationship works very well together because unlike other shonen rivalries, there's no real, at least not so far, animosity between Juno and Asta. More like playful animosity. They sometimes do mock each other, but at the same time they do praise each other for everything else. However, I do think that a part of them are jealous of each other because, as I said before, Juno and Asta are each other's exact opposites in every sort of the way. And I'm gonna go into detail again. What do I mean when I say each other's opposites? Again, Juno is handsome and blessed with mana, and Asta is short and obnoxious, is not blessed by mana, and yet people are getting around Asta more than they're getting around Juno. Asta is more open with his feelings. Juno is extremely quiet with his feelings. Asta is very pumped up about action. Juno seems to hide some very strong arrogance in his performance. And Asta cannot shut up for the life of him. Juno only talks when he wants to talk. So again, there is just some there's the yin and yang, and I feel like it's not a coincidence on why it's like that. So they aim to become the Magic Knight King, but they are then thrown into adventure as Juno has joined the Golden Dawn Magic Guild or Magic Squad, while Asta joined the Black Bull, and their adventure begins. Well, now I actually got off topic a really bit because I said about it all. But Black Clover also aired its, at least a little bit this year of its, its anime, Black Clover anime. And unfortunately, the anime has been noted to have very poor animation. Well, I guess it couldn't be helped. It's not for everyone to like. It's not necessarily bad though, but not really that likable at the same time. However, it does have mostly unknown cast members, almost mostly, which is very welcoming. The main female character, Noelle, has a pretty unknown voice actress, and she is excellent in that role. Magna's voice actor is also someone who is not known. And Asta is also a rookie, and he is actually starting to become, well, pretty big now. However, the rest are not so much unknowns, which was actually the only thing I didn't really like. I wish everyone could have been unknowns. This was a perfect opportunity for that, but alas, it did not really happen that way. Hell, when we even got to the sea temple scene, I wished the siblings would have been voiced by real life siblings. That would have been so cool. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. So that's let's see here. What else can I talk about? There's a lot of things to talk about, but let's go into detail a little bit more on why do I feel like this year, 2018, were Black Clovers. Because I do. I sincerely believe of all the mangas this year, the one that had the greatest chapters were the Black Clover. And it's probably on my number one list of, my top one in most likable mangas of 2018. I mean, I'm planning on doing a top 10 of adding some mangas over there. And I think I will place Black Clover as number one. Because for me, and here we come to the title. The title says Balance of Hope and Despair. One of the reasons why I have liked Black Clover this year is because it really has been an excellent balance of hope and despair. Because Black Clover entered a region I never really thought they would enter, an ultimate despair section. Everybody knew that the White Knight Demon Eye were the villains, and everyone started to be aware of the elves. But we did not know that the people we called allies in Black Clover were actually vessels for the reincarnated elves. That caught me completely off guard. And Black Clover entered a region I didn't think they would. They entered a shocking revelation of ultimate despair. And I admit that when I saw that, I didn't like that. Because that just means that it's going to be forever until everyone is dispelled, if they are going to be dispelled. However, they didn't waste any time by, nodding that the fact that the elves may be in control, but the humans are also. And what's more is that even Juno turned out to be an elf, but for some strange reason, he has not shown that he has lost his, personality, I want to say. It's still not been explained really on why Juno, who is also reincarnated as an elf, can keep his real self. There are many theories out there, and if I remember them, I'll talk about them soon. And then we come to the hope and the despair part. Despair won for a very long time, and for a moment I really didn't like that. But when hope really kicked in the manga, it was awesome. The action, the suspense, the fact that when you go back and read those chapters, they were good. This was excellent reading, and may not have been originality, but it was pleasant and nice to read. And that's really what I feel like a manga should be about. You should throw in a little despair, because otherwise people cannot stop complaining. But you should not allow us to feel that despair for long. And that's what Black Clover did. They allowed us to have hope in just 3 chapters, and that's what I liked about it. So I really do stick to my beliefs that when it comes to mangas this year, Black Clover was the best. But speaking of it, we do have some fears though. Will Black Clover still keep their shine of 2019? To tell you the truth, I am not so sure of that, actually. Because not that this arc is anywhere near finished. No, there's still some unanswered questions here and there. And I have a very big feeling they will not be answered. However, as I said before, there has been a balance of hope and despair. Almost too much. There has been some foreshadowing that if the elves get the final magic stones, every single elf that were reincarnated into human will banish the human soul, and they will be completely reincarnated. It is not yet stated, though, if that is for those that were released by Asta's sword, because Asta in the end gained a sword that allowed him to dispel the elves' curses. It's not yet explained if it's like that too. And it's almost going too well. Why is Asta managing to dispel everyone? It's almost like they're trying to make us have hope and then crush us beneath a very bed of despair. Is that the author's goal, or am I just overanalyzing things here? So let's talk some theories out there. There have, even though this arc certainly hasn't slowed down in awesome, there have been some moments here where we just have opened our eyes and wondered, what is going on here? The first one was the reveal that Patri were the lich that we knew all along. And we saw that in Liar's flashback, but we didn't pay any attention to it until that flashback. It is still not explained, though. Why does he have a lich's face and his voice? It's not an explanation on why it is like that, Ian. He believes it because he was the chosen one and he was tasked to revive the elves, and indeed he did. However, I wonder, is there another explanation for that? Is it possible that he took a part of Lich with him? And also, why was he the one that was revived strongly more than the rest? Did Lich really sincerely want to revive him? Or was there something else? Again, that is not answered yet. But getting back to the real Lich, we see that the real Lich is really, well, sorry, that was a bad word, is there. However, he has yet to really do anything, although technically he did defeat Asta and Juno. And I think that scene was just there to show us ultimate despair, to confirm to us that Lich's power is beyond anyone. And if he gets serious, it's very unlikely anyone can defeat him. I think that scene there was just to show us that even in his confused state, he is powerful. So what happens if he is no longer confused? I think that is why we saw that scene. Or there's another way to look at this. Maybe that fight scene we saw of him is the only scene we're going to get of him because there's something different going on between him. Because let's face it, he remembered his allies. He saved his allies when they were knocked out by Asta. And then he fought Juno and Asta. And yet he did not kill them. And when Asta managed to knock out the sword from his hand, for some strange reason, it seems like Lich allowed him to take that sword. And the thing is, did he really allow Asta to take that demon ruin sword, or was that just a very coincidence? It's also the fact that he blew them away with a very powerful magic attack, but they survived it. But that attack itself was enough for them to actually escape from the elf castle. So yeah, I wonder. And also it was the line he said to Raya, that Grimoire is no longer mine. It's the one and only line he has said so far as he was revived. He will probably say more when he actually really revives. But what does that mean? Does it mean that a human has touched it, therefore he no longer wants to wield it because it has the human filthy human touch on it? Or is he implying that the Grimoire has now become more worthy in Asta's hand? Or is the fact that the Grimoire is corrupted and therefore is technically no longer his because his Grimoire was white, this Grimoire is black? So it's just some moments there of uncertainty. Is Lich really the final villain of this arc? In fact, we're going to that. Is Black Clover heading toward its end game? I feel like it still will be too early for that. There are still some parts left that we have yet to be completely solved, and that is the other kingdoms and the rest of the world. Although I don't know if we're going to see that. So yeah, it's just that fact that. But going back to Lich, is he really the final villain of this arc or saga? Or is it possible that he is an ally? I mean, we are being toyed with our emotions here in order to create uncertainty in us. And I don't really like that. Because I'm worried. Because I said before, Lich is powerful. If he is the enemy, then I sincerely wonder then who can stop him? But if he is an ally, then technically, then who can stop him by none other than other powerful elves? Because again, we come to another theory, the demon theory. When Lich's comrades and his family and everyone was killed, Lich cast a reincarnation magic, at least what we presume, and then Patri was revived. And then presumably he turned into a demon and his only human friend that may have betrayed him stopped him. Was that really what happened? And if so, why is it that has not been repeated yet? It's been implied dozens of times that when the elves truly lose themselves in their madness and despair, the magic around them becomes more foul and even sinister, and it becomes more than just a demon. So the fact that the demons and the elves are connected is there. I'm just wondering, are we only gonna have implication of that, or are we gonna get confirmations? Is it possible that an elf is a demon when they fall into despair? And is that why the elves were living outskirted? Because they were trying to live so peaceful lives as possible, so they cannot control that? Because it's also worth noting, the elves proclaim themselves to be loved by mana, and the humans not so much. It's just, however, that we have seen that mana can do some pretty scary things if manipulated. So is it possible that when they fall into despair, the mana corrupts them and then transforms them into demon? So what I'm trying to say is it possible that they are not being loved by mana, but they are enslaved by mana? I mean, it's no proof in that. It's just speculation, and probably not that complicated. This is Black Clover. I don't think any theory we have on Black Clover is like that, because it's too complicated, and Black Clover doesn't feel that complicated, to be honest. And then, well, what else theories out there is there? Well, there's tons of that. It's just that who is gonna win and who is gonna lose? That's just the biggest question of it all. And even if the humans win, are the other humans going to forgive the possessed humans for what they have done? I have a strong suspicion, no. They're gonna be very mad for what is happening. And also, another reason why Black Clover has been one of the best mangas of this year is because of Noelle. I mean, damn. When she finally appeared on the scene again, she did not disappoint. She has become the star this year. Granted, it took a very long time until she actually did get the chance to become a star, but damn, she did not disappoint. Not a single bit. Yami, my favorite character, did not disappoint either. He was still crude, being awesome, and many, many things more. So it's just there, really, for it all. And even Sora finally grew on me. The strange thing is that Meloleo is the only one who did not grow on me, because I think it's because she is the only one who's truly ruthless. And I wonder, is it possible that she's ruthless because of another reason? So what do I expect out of a Black Clover this 2019? Well, I expect more fights and I expect more souls to be freed. Gauches as well. However, I expect we're gonna have some switched scenes in it all. I expect Raiders to be killed. I really do. However, I have a feeling that magic will actually be useful in unbalancing the souls of the elves inside the humans. I think so, at least. So, however, I wish though that this year we will get answers. Because there are so many burning answers that we have not yet been answered, and I wish to know them this year. Those answers are: why did the first human friend betray the elves? Or did he really betray the elves? And third, what is Juno and Asta's connection in all of this? Because now we get to that theory. As I said before, Juno has been reincarnated as an elf, but for some strange reason he retains his human personality. It's not yet confirmed if that's because Juno has a stronger will than any of the other humans, or the fact that he hasn't been reincarnated into an elf. He has just been reborn into what he originally was, an elf. Because, as you know, his power is wind, and Tita's power was also wind. So yeah. And Juno is loved by Mana. He has a 4-leaf clover which also liched wheels. So I'm just wondering, is there a connection there? However, that doesn't answer one question though, and that is, if Juno were to be the child of Tita and Liched, then how the hell did he survive until now? Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Because apparently this happened many hundred years ago. So if it is like that, then we need to know that too. And then it's Asta. Is Asta also a chosen one, or is it that he is an unchosen one that has become the well, you know, the, how do I say this word? Sorry. Or has become the chosen one? Now someone finally wrote on the table. It's you, John boy. You wonder if I should give the anime, if you should give the anime another chance? Well, I prefer to say, as long as you see the right episodes, yes. I mean, you probably will never stop complaining that Asta's voice is a little bit annoying and the quality of the episodes are pretty lack, but if you skip through that, Black Clover can actually be pretty enjoyable to watch. However, I do recommend do not watch the first 7 or 6 episodes. After that, just go along with the flow, and we'll see if it's acceptable. It's just that I think it's really kicked off after episode 40 or something like that. I feel like there is where it's really getting its grove. Well, especially when Yami enters the scene and fight Patri. I feel like that is one of the better one. However, the Black Clover anime is something that takes a lot getting used to. But the Seabed Temple, though, yeah, that was very awesome. Very awesome indeed. I would at least recommend watching that one in anime version. It did not disappoint me, at least. So, okay, then back to the situation of Asta. Is Asta a chosen one, or is he someone who's unchosen but has become a chosen one? Because it's just that worth noting. Why is it that Asta has no mana? According to the Witch Queen, it's because it's a mutation in Elohim. He is nothing special, and yet he became something special because of that. I'm just wondering, though, why haven't we seen anyone else without any mana? Is Asta truly unique, or has this happened before? It's also worth noting that Asta is the only one that can wield, Lich's swords without the side effects. And I do not think that is a coincidence. Because when the only one who can wield the sword's power, it's Lich himself. Because when he wields them, the black rust on them evaporates and they become white and full of mana again. But if anyone else wields the sword, their mana is taken away, almost like they're rejecting them. However, Asta can wield the sword without the negative effect because he has no mana to begin with. Therefore, the sword is not stealing away his mana. And he is strong, therefore he can lift the heavy swords as it is. In essence, he can use the stealing mana that the swords are emitting unless Lich is touching them to the fullest potential. And also the way he can coat himself in the anti-mana. So I'm just saying, why is it that Asta got that mutation and had no mana? Is there a reason for that? Because if we said it before, someone wondered maybe Lich and Teta were his parents as well as Juno, and maybe that's why they really are brothers. I mean, granted, they don't look anything alike, so I think we should actually skip that theory. But it's worth noting that Asta has gray hair, or gray silver hair, and the elves had white hair. Granted, they had white hair, not gray silver hair, but I'm just pointing out they had white hair, so that's a connection there. And also they look pretty youthful despite being so old. And Asta, while still a teenager, is noted to not grow up very much. So I think there could be a connection there as well. And also is the thing that, but if he and Juno were to be the son of Teta and Lich, the other question begs though, is it possible that someone saved them when they were still in the womb of Teta, because Teta was assassinated as well? Or is it possible that Juno in the baby form possibly stole all of Asta's mana in that womb in order to survive, and that is why Asta has anti-mana? But it's also worth noting that for some strange reason Asta has the demon inside of himself, although we have only seen that in the Witch Forest arc. We still haven't come back to that, and if you ask me, I wish the author would get back to that. Why do Asta have a demon inside of himself? Is it just something he threw in there to have another Naruto references? Or will we get back to why Asta has a demon inside of himself? He can use the anti-mana in the swords and then almost transform into a demon, but it's also worth noting that that demon himself seemed to be made of anti-mana. So I'm just wondering, is it because of the demon that Asta has anti-mana, or is it because of the demon that Asta can actually live? Because if he has no mana inside of his body, how can he live to begin with? I'm just wondering, maybe the demon is the reason why he is alive. Okay, now let's see. Is there anything else to talk about? Well, there's plenty. I get back to the fact again that the chapters truly have been a blast. I cannot exactly name which chapter have been the best of Black Clover because I'm not really that good of it all. But I guess even from the beginning, chapter 140 to 160, the luck situation. Oh yeah, that chapter there was very heartwarming. The chapter when Luck was released from his possession. I have to admit that was one of my favorite chapters of the year, because I mean it was so damn emotional. You never really thought you would see something so emotional from that. I guess it was. I guess maybe it was chapter 163, and then it was also 164 and 165. I think those are among my favorite chapters of Black Clover. But 163, yeah, that was a very emotional chapter. I still tear up watching that one scene that was so emotional. That so yeah, I just said that and I immediately began to feel a little emotional. Oh yeah, but I'm not up when I watch that scene. Okay, I guess that's how I will summarize Black Clover. I will definitely recommend reading Black Clover from chapter 140 to now. You will not be disappointed. It's been a very good ride for Black Clover, and I hope that 2019 will still be good. However, I have my doubts. What do you think about Black Clover? Do you have any theories about Black Clover that I already did not talk about? And more than that, do you think this is the end game? Give me your thoughts if you have any.